Hello, this is Ron Mackey coming to you again from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm having the fourth reading now from my book, Parenting the Bottom Line. I have been a school bus driver for over 22 years, and I have come into contact with thousands of children of all ages. There have been instances when I have warned students about violations of the rules of conduct on the bus. With those warnings, I have made each student aware that if they continue with the same misconduct, I would have no choice but to forward a written referral to the school administrator informing them of rule violations on the bus, and that same information would be forwarded to their parents or guardians. Now, in response to my informing the erring students of what would happen if I turned in the referrals, I was told by a number of students that it didn't matter if I wrote a referral on them because their parents would not do anything to them anyway for their misconduct. And I find that response to be a sad commentary on parental discipline. Now, in a number of conversations I have had with parents on the subject of spanking as a form of discipline, I have heard parents and grandparents say that all they had to do was talk with their children and grandchildren when they misbehaved, and they were able to correct errant behavior without any more difficulties. Now, I applaud those parents who have set limitations and boundaries in their households and have taken time to discuss and choose how they would discipline their children. But there are many households that have no structure or rules in the home at all. And the parents in those particular homes have no clue as to how to deal with erring children. And those are the households that have the most child abuse due to a lack of parenting skills. Thus, there are parents who have no idea how to raise and discipline a child. And when their child misbehaves, they respond by hitting them while angry. And being in a fit of anger is not the proper time to discipline a child. Many parents don't understand that different techniques can be used to correct children when they misbehave. Some parents can simply speak to their child with love and let them know how disappointed they are at their child's conduct. And the problem is solved with no further action, like the parents I spoke about earlier. Other parents get their point across by removing certain privileges from their erring children, like the television, CD player, iPod, computer, and video games, if the child continues to disobey the house rules. Other parents use timeouts, where a child is put in a corner or a designated spot for a certain period of time, or sent to their bedroom until they understand the error of their ways. Then there are other parents who just overlook whatever their children do. And it does not matter whether they are at home or out in public. It is either through ignorance or parents are just tired of trying to correct them. So they just give up and let them have their way. This lack of parental discipline presents a very difficult situation for children who are trying to teachers who are trying to educate these out-of-control children. In a news article from April 25th, 2005, elementary school teachers and their principal in Miami, Florida, deemed a 5-year-old female so unruly in the class that they called the police. As the child was handcuffed and led from the building, she began a felonious plight, arousing controversy. In the article, the question was asked, did a child's tantrum pose a threat worthy of the Miami Police Department? It is sad to say that out-of-control youngsters and hapless adults, which are mostly parents, have become commonplace. We do know that there is a parental disconnect with children in today's society when we see programs on television such as Super Nanny and Nanny 911, where modern-day parents invite a professional nanny into their home to set up parenting skill training, as well as communication programs for extremely dysfunctional families. And I was really shocked when on one of those segments, I saw a 5-year-old hitting and kicking his mother repeatedly during one of his uncontrollable temper tantrums. And all the mother could do was run into her bedroom, shut her door, and cry. And that was not all. That 5-year-old boy that she gave birth to was outside her bedroom door, kicking it numerous times while yelling and screaming at her at the same time. Now, some may say that the little boy could not control himself because he was probably suffering from ADD, which is attention deficit disorder, or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which are development and behavioral disorders that affect 3 to 5% of all school-age children. Now, I agree that one of these disorders could possibly be the cause of this 5-year-old's problem. But ADD and ADHD has been the diagnosis of choice for many behavioral problems in children and youth for a number of years. It has been suggested that over 75% of all children that have been evaluated for these and similar disorders receive medication on the very first visit to the doctor. Could it be that ADD and ADHD might be used in some situations as a cover for neglectful parenting? Now, please notice some of the symptoms in children diagnosed with these disorders. Number 1, such children are easily distracted by sights and sounds in their environment. Number 2, they are unable to concentrate for long periods of time on low stimulation tasks, such as sitting in class during homework and completing chores around the house. Number 3, these children have a tendency to daydream and are slow to complete simple tasks. But wait a yocto second. It appears to me that the behaviors I just described could be diagnosed in almost any child on this planet Earth. And if you look at the sales of video games and track the amount of hours spent by children and youth watching movies on their DVD players, the hours spent watching TV, the hours spent listening to this so-called music on their iPods, iPhones, and on most cell phones, I asked all of you a question. Now, where is the deficit in their attention span when it comes to participating in those various forms of entertainment? Yet, those children exhibit a deficit of attention when it comes to misbehaving in class, doing homework after school, and doing chores around the house like cutting the grass, washing the dishes, and cleaning their rooms. Even though many of these disorders are probably legitimate in some cases, could it be possible that in a great majority of these diagnosed cases and the drugs used to treat these disorders are being sought by some parents to excuse errant behavior and to cover up a deficit in parenting? And even though bad parenting may not cause ADD or ADHD, it could possibly add to the impairment that these disorders cause. Now, in my research, I have discovered a possible third disorder. It is not a disorder of the child, but a disorder suffered by the parent. It is a disorder called NWTB, which stands for not whipping that butt. Now, parents who are suffering from the NWTB syndrome do not need any drugs to calm them down or drugs to stimulate them, but they simply need to carry out their God-given parental responsibilities and apply whatever disciplinary measures they have neglected to implement if their child is ignoring repeated warnings, and especially if their child is clearly out of control in their behavior. Another thing to consider, are the parents not giving their child any attention? The children may be using bad behavior to get the attention they desire. Have you heard the old saying, negative attention is better than no attention at all? And if you have ever had the blessing of having a newborn baby, you know that they demand maximum attention right away, right from the first day they come into this world. Now, there could be a slight possibility that little Tommy's mother might be suffering from that NWTB disorder, as well as lacking the parental skills needed to teach her child to understand what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior at home and in public places. Be it known that this subject is not talked about very much, But a larger part of the problem with so many out of control children is that there are thousands of unwed mothers out there who have never been married, with one or more children, who are in dire need of a father figure in the home. Since one out of 4 babies in America are born to single mothers, this is one of the reasons for the high level of poverty being experienced in many cities in America. It is hard for me to understand, but it seems that single parenthood by choice has become very commonplace in America. Perhaps it could be partly blamed on the more than 50% rate of divorce in the late 1960s, the increasing number of single-parent families, and the changes in public attitudes about a couple living together or shacking up, which makes single parenthood itself no longer so stigmatizing. Stigmatizing. So given these changes in attitude, a young woman finds herself pregnant and for whatever reason does not really want to marry the father. It is in a totally different environment than in the past. Well, I'll stop right there. I'll be talking a little bit more about this same subject as far as the single parenting and all that. So just stay tuned. And we'll be, next time you see me, I'll be reading part 5 of Parenting the Bottom Line. I'm a little bit nervous, so bear with me. So as I close tonight, I'd like to say happy parenting, God bless you, and you have a wonderful parenting day. Goodbye. See you next time.